That's all we need is a dose of the giggle. All right, folks, you're welcome back to, would you believe it, the ultimate podcast all the way from Chicago here in Illinois. Absolutely delighted this evening to be joined by 5 of our top players. That includes Nicky, really, as Trevor would say. Immediately to my left is Micheal Burns from Dr. Crokes in Killarney. You're welcome, Micheal.
Thanks, John.
Beside Micheal is Cian McKeon from Boyle in the county of Roscommon, a good old Rossi. And beside Cian is Eoin Cleary, all the way from County Clare, West Clare, great West Clare man. And also Tom Flynn from Athenry in County Galway. So you're all very welcome, lads. You're welcome to this evening's podcast. And we're going to look forward to our 4 All-Ireland quarterfinals. And Nicky is here as well. So Nicky, your beloved Galway is out tomorrow. Quick word on Galway tomorrow. Confident tomorrow. I know you're playing the Dubs. You said that if you're going to get them, now is the time to get them at quarterfinal stage. So
yeah, you're better off getting them in the quarterfinal. I wouldn't like to have to travel all the way home for an All-Ireland final, which I did 2 years ago, and the boy over there, the beat is Kerry, so it's long distance. Better off being Dublin in the quarterfinal. I think Galway have no injuries, and they play the right style of football. I think they have a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know how big a chance, but they have a chance.
They have a shot. Yeah, no doubt about it. So we'll get on to Galway and Dublin in a moment. We'll go through it chronologically. We'll start off with the first game tomorrow, Roscommon and Armagh. It's 4 o'clock throw in Croker, and it's a huge game for Roscommon. Cian, you've been part of this Roscommon panel for the last couple of years. I mean, it's a massive game for Roscommon. It's a long time since we've been in a semi-final. 1990, 1991 was the last 2 semi-finals that we were in. Huge game for Roscommon tomorrow.
Yeah, I suppose looking in, the game's probably 50-50 in terms of you don't really know what they're going to produce in quarterfinal day. Roscommon are a long time kind of knocking on the door, but not really getting over the line in Croke Park. Armagh the same. Like they've had a few chances now. Like it's Galway there a couple of 2 years ago. Probably could have bet them on the day, but just didn't get over the line. So it's hard to know how the game's going to go.
Yeah. I know, look, you mightn't follow Roscommon football that much, but I was reviewing some of the games that they played in Croker over the last couple of seasons. And, come back a couple of years ago, they drew Dublin in the first round robin game, actually in 23. And, you'd have to say a performance like that or replicate that performance or a little bit of an improvement. I mean, you'd have to give them a chance,
Yeah, definitely, John. I suppose collectively they probably have the best group of forwards in Connacht, and Cian was actually playing that game last year. They controlled the game very well. I know there was a big stat in that game where the keeper took the ball for however long. They kept the ball for 4 minutes, but they got a score. And, they were building a style of play. And we saw it against Tyrone Dean. When Conor Carroll gets the ball, he plays Craig. They held the ball for 2 minutes and they worked the score. So that's something they've been working on with Davy Burke the past, last 2-3 years. And it's coming to fruition now. And look, the players seem to be buying into Davy Burke. And I suppose at the start of the year, if you were Roscommon men, the way the league was going, you wouldn't have been looking at it too optimistically. But with the way they're coming now, who's to say they won't be that mad the weekend,
Yeah.
They've got a serious group of forwards there, and they've lost serious forwards over a number of years, but very few counties will be able to cope with that. But Roscommon has been, and Croke Park is made for good forwards in open space. So, look, I'd say those forwards are licking their lips tomorrow at the thoughts of Croke Park.
Yeah, absolutely. Micheal, looking at Roscommon as well in their league form, I mean, as a Roscommon supporter myself, or a Roscommon man, I was pretty, downbeat about their chances in the championship. They looked flat at best against Mayo in the Connacht semi-final. They looked flat again against them in the round robin series. And all of a sudden they produced a performance against Cavan, put up a huge score. So, maybe they've been holding something back. Who knows?
Yeah, I suppose the way the championship is structured now, you potentially only have to win one game in the group and you go through. So I suppose maybe previously when they played Dublin in that quarterfinal, they might have went all out for a Dublin game, didn't get the win out of it, and then maybe the energies were gone a small bit. So they obviously timed it well, probably focused in on getting the win in that Cavan game, knew they'd probably get them through, and then they were fresh and could go on, and obviously had a great win against Tyrone. But yeah, I suppose peaking a small bit, towards the business end now, because again, the league can be a hard slog, and if you're putting a lot of effort in, week in, week out in the league, come the business end, you could be a small bit fatigued mentally and physically. So they seem to have timed that well. It'll be I suppose, out of out of all the quarterfinals, it's probably the one you think is most 50-50, and you couldn't kind of call a winner. But it'd be a great game. Armagh obviously have a bit of a hang up on Croke Park and quarterfinals, but I'm sure they're going to be there. They're going to really want to write that as well. And they've talked about forwards. They have a serious panel. They have some serious players coming off the bench. Stephen Campbell, like Conor Mack, and these kind of fellas. They could change a game. The game opens up in the second half, and you have these fellas coming off the bench. They could really do some damage. But I'm sure they want to get the game over with in normal time this time, and not be letting it linger there. So
yeah, because they've had their misfortunes in penalty shootouts, especially last year and the year before against Galway and Monaghan. And Tom, Armagh will really want to win this game tomorrow. They'll see this as much of an opportunity for Roscommon. They'll see it as probably a bigger opportunity for themselves to make a first semi-final in, I think, since 2005. And it's going to be a big game for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose with both sides, you have hugely talented forwards, but you also have a lot of seasoned campaigners, and that sort of like the Falker, Murn and Grubin that have been there for years and haven't gotten to that semi-final stage. And then also the same card for the Rossies in Murray, Daly's, the Smiths are there a long time and haven't gotten to that. So, a huge token to play for there to get to a semi-final stage. And two very good footballing sides. Armagh have some great footballers and forwards that will only shine in Croker. And the Rossies the same, as Owen said there. Probably a very, very well-rounded group of forwards, adding in Derek Craig to an already talented group, and a few Bridges lads then to play out the field. Both two very, very well-balanced sides, and should be a great game.
How do you think being used to Croke Park and being used to playing there is really important? I mean, there are certain counties and certain groups of players that get opportunities more so than others to play there. I think it's a massive advantage for a team or for a certain team to have played there more often. Do you think
when we were, I suppose, particularly in the league, you take the league as its merit, but the one big benefit of getting to the league final was getting a big game in Croke Park before you went into a quarter final, because you're going up there, you're getting used to the crowd. And there was a few years there where we struggled to win games in Croke Park, so I think it was we'd been 1-1 in I don't know how long, but getting that league final in particular, more so than just winning a national title, which is great, but getting a big game in Croke Park, get used to that venue was something we kind of looked at for a long time.
Yeah. Owen, from your point of view, Clare, I suppose like Roscommon or like a lot of those mid-table teams, they don't get their fair share of games in Croke Park. Like from, somebody like yourself that played with Clare, got to play there a couple of times or whatever. Like, would you identify that as like being a disadvantage,
I suppose to certain counties it is, but look, you earned the right to get there. Like, we've been lucky enough, we've been played there a few times and we earned the right to get there that year. Other years we didn't earn the right to get there. But I suppose we played Dublin in the league last year, and it was the first time I really saw it, where Dublin guys were taking shots and they were so comfortable in a certain area. It was like, any of us in our club pitches at home. When you're 35 yards out of a certain side of the pitch, that's a shot you always nail. Whereas these boys are nailing these shots, they're so comfortable. Whereas we all know, like playing in Croke Park, it's so deceiving. Like, you're 40
top of the
yards
D,
out.
It feels like you're
miles out. Like,
yeah.
Like, you look at it on television, you're like top of the D. It looks like an easy shot, but it's a 40-yard kick. Like, you have to give it everything. So
right.
Definitely the Dubs would have an advantage there, where they're so comfortable in Croke Park, like it's a club pitch to other teams. But I don't think other teams would. Like, I suppose the likes of like your Kerrys and your Galway's, course, they're there nearly every single year, and they are more comfortable in Clare's and Roscommon's. But I suppose, look, Roscommon have every advantage this weekend. Like, they're coming with huge momentum. Armagh, yes, they beat Galway in the last, or they drew with Galway in the last game, but I think it's a game where they'll be very nervous because it's Micheal alluded to, like, you know, they want to get it done in normal time. If Roscommon take them into extra time, that bit of doubt creeps back into the minds. We have to get it done, and you know, they might play a pass there. It doesn't need to be played. The next thing, Roscommon, we've seen it against Tyrone. They were devastating on the counter.
Yeah,
They've got to be that good on the counter if they're going to beat Armagh.
right. Yeah, I was going to just talk to you, Cian, about momentum, and you know, you could argue that both teams have, you know, similar, you know, levels of momentum, I suppose, coming into this game. Roscommon got a huge result in Oma. Like, not too many of us thought that they were going to go up there and get a result, you know, in a tough place, you know, to go and get a win. Big result for Roscommon last week.
Yeah, momentum is massive in terms of sport, like, and both teams are coming off the back of 2 big wins. So I can still see the game being a small bit cagey because obviously both teams, there's so much on the line for both teams that I can't see either of them going hammer to the wall in the first half, anyways, until the game opens up a bit, maybe. But it'll be very interesting because, like, there's so much on the line. Both teams, it'll be their first time in the semi-final in I don't know how many years, so there's a lot to play for.
Yeah.
But like you said, momentum is everything, and if either team can carry that momentum through in the first half, maybe go into halftime, a couple of scores up, it'll bring them on a long way.
Roscommon started very well the last year, like, and
Yeah, exactly.
trying to get back into the game. Then Tyrone, like, they were chasing the game from
Exactly.
early
Yeah,
on, like,
getting nearly started like they did against their own. I think they'll be hard back because again, the doubt will creep into Armagh.
Right.
These are we going to get over the line? Are we going to draw the game back? That's what Roscommon really needs to do, like come out of the traps line. But again, it'll be hard done because there's so much on the line.
Yeah, and Nicky, when similarly with Armagh and Galway last week, you know, like Galway had that game sewn up really, you know, like 5 points up with, what was it, 7 or 8 or 9 minutes to go, or whatever it was, and you know, well documented, you know, kick out error or whatever, and sort of allowed Armagh back into it. But when they got the chance, they took it.
They did take it. But the one thing about Roscommon last Saturday or Sunday, like, Tyrone came back at them, and the impressive part was that coming down the stretch in the last few minutes, Roscommon held out and scored a few great scores. So it meant like they didn't choke or anything. They came back and they were right back, and they came back. They could have lost that game because they came back at them.
Yep.
They were 1-9 to 3 points or so at half time, something like that.
9-3 at half time.
9-3, but Tyrone came right back into it, but Roscommon held on. It was very impressive in the last 5 or 10 minutes, so that's a good omen for Roscommon.
It is actually, and I do want to mention, Tom, I know we talked about this during the week, like there was one score in particular that really took my fancy with Roscommon against Tyrone, was Dara Craig's point. The goalkeeper got the ball, got possession of the ball, ran 30 or 40 yards, and he gave a great pass off his right foot, bounced in front of Dara Craig, and the lad, I forget the Tyrone lad's name that was marking him, he was right up on his back, and Craig caught the ball on his chest, and in the one movement turned and left-footed, didn't even look at the post, which any good forward doesn't have to do anyway, but like just left-footed straight over the bar. And it was a pivotal moment because I think we were a point up, and that put us 2 points up, and it meant Tyrone needed a goal. I mean, it was a fantastic score.
Yeah, I suppose, like, for years, Roscommon are brilliant at game management. Like, you know, when they get ahead, they're a very, very difficult side to get on top of again. Like, you know, the Dailies, Donian, and that, you know, they understand they'll control the game and slow down the pace, and they'll get the referee kind of involved. And, you know, it can get very frustrating to play against them when you drop behind them. But I suppose Dara Craig and some of those younger lads have maybe added a bit of a fearlessness to when someone does make a push back at them, that they have those kind of match winners now in their hand to help those older lads to get over the line. But yeah, no, it's very exciting. Like, I suppose Armagh and Roscommon both balance in terms of ability. I suppose Roscommon, I don't know, you'd be kind of leaning towards if Roscommon do start well, like, it will be tough for Armagh to pull it back because they just control it so well. Like, you have to give credit to Niall Daly. Do you know, I recall a game against Mayo up in Castlebar where it was a very wet day, and, you know, Mayo are behind, and, you know, they're forcing things and making errors, and Roscommon are slowing the pace down, and and making it kind of a slower game. But now with those younger lads, they have that kind of, I suppose, with Ben O'Carroll obviously getting injured, but Derek Craig mainly in that match winner that they may have missed over the last 2 or 3 years.
So yeah, it's going to be a tight one, as Micheal says. I think it's one of those. Definitely, I think one of the 4 games that could possibly go either way. In the other 3 games, I think you make an argument for, especially the winners of the groups in the other 3 games. But like this one it's going to be tight. I think it's not going to be any more than a kick of a ball. So I'm going to get predictions. I'll start with you, Micheal. How do you see it going?
I suppose I'm sitting in between 2 Rossies. So it's
No
a tough
pressure.
one to call. And like that, the tones, it's nearly changed the name to Roscommon Chicago or something. But I'll go for the Rossies. I hope to see them do this.
One for the Rossies, Cian. No, this
What
one
can you
is
say?
yeah.
I'm calling Roscommon win, I think.
Yeah.
This year now we'll get over the line.
No man. Eoin, what do you think?
I think it could be a draw in normal time, but I think Armagh's bench will make a difference. I think Armagh in there.
Snake it. 2-1. Tom, no pressure.
No, yeah. In fairness, I think Roscommon just have, I don't know, they've a lot to play for, no more than Armagh, but I suppose with Enda and with Derek Craig now, I think they're a fine team, and they'll take beating. So I'd be kind of leaning towards Roscommon by maybe 2 or 3 points. A few hookers at home there that might have swayed me as well. But yeah, I think Rossies by 2 or 3.
All right, Tom. Thank you. And Nicky, finally.
First of all, Tom has about 7 or 8 uncles. I'm so old, I went to school with his father, so that's the reason he's going for Roscommon. Roscommon, I think, if Armagh do what they did against Derry and go out, drop the shackles and go for it, I think they might win. If they don't, if they walk conservative, I think Roscommon will speak.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually, because in the first half against Galway, Armagh, played very deep and they stood off Galway. They allowed Galway possession. And I think if you do that with a team like Roscommon with the forwards that they have, I think you're inviting trouble onto yourself. So, it'll be interesting to see, a lot of these games, I think, for me anyway, the first 15, 20 minutes tell an awful lot about the whole way the game is going to go and the way teams are set up and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. But like I said, it's a really finely balanced game, and both teams have obviously an awful lot to play for. So, hopefully it's going to be an entertaining game. Hopefully it'll be a high-scoring game, and hopefully both sets of forwards will be able to show off their skills and show what they can do. And sure, look at the Mesh team win at the end of the day.
Did you say 5 minutes per game?
We've said 5 minutes there.
45
minutes on Roscommon. So we have 30 seconds on Dublin and Galway. So next up we have Dublin and Galway. Come on, Micheal. Dublin and Galway. And when you look at the scoring, I've done a bit of research here on the scoring thing. Like Dublin have scored 14 goals and 113 points in the championship, albeit from opposition that they tore us under. Well, in some respects, especially in the Leinster Championship, Galway have scored 9 goals and 91 points. So 2 teams that's free scoring, and I have a head in here notable players, Micheal. I mean, you could pick anyone at probably 22 or 23 players off the Dublin panel, and you could probably do the same with Galway. So, this could be a tough game as well.
Yeah, I suppose Galway and Order probably. I think they're both named to start, Homer and Walsh, but if they have the 2 of them inside with Robert Finnerty as well, that's a serious inside line to have. Look, Matthew Tierney there, he's a great player. If they have all them on the pitch fit and 100%, I think there's every chance they could cause an upset. If they're not 100%, it's probably going to come against them a small bit. But another great game. Like, it's quarterfinals have thrown up some great matchups. Dublin, again, like you said, they're just so at home in Croke Park, aren't they? Just like they've been in these situations, they've dug out games all the time. They know they can do it. Whereas Galway, they're probably a bit unknown. That, yeah, to be honest, look, it's hard to see past the Dublin win in that game like that. If the two lads are fit and ready to go, they can get a few goals early on, maybe. But yeah, Dublin are just so strong all over the pitch, really, aren't they? Like,
yeah, they're tough. They're tough to beat. You know, experience-wise, ability-wise, their panel, their bench, everything. You know, points to a long day for Galway. But you know, I've been saying to Nicky for years. You know, like, no disrespect to Mayo, you know, or Roscommon, but any of the kind of teams that go to Croke Park, you know, of all the kind of teams that go to Croke Park, in my opinion, like Galway tend to improve when they get to Croke Park. They tend to improve when they get onto that big pitch because, you know, they have good forwards, they have good solid midfield, their defensive structure is pretty good. Roscommon a bit like that too, because their forwards enjoy space, you know, like that. Like Eoin, I think if Galway get it right, and I think a lot depends on having Comer and Walsh on the field. I think that for me, anyways, you know, because I was looking back at games that Shane Walsh performed really well in, and they were on the big stage like semi-finals and finals. He you know, he loves that big stage, you know, and if they can get them on the field fit for, you know, even 40, 45 minutes, I think, you know, they could trouble Dublin.
Yeah, you're right, John, but they'll have to get everything right.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny McGrath will probably pick up Conor Callaghan. He's been picking up all the main men for most teams this year, and he's done very well in them. So if he shuts down on Callaghan, I suppose Sean Kelly will probably pick up Scully, because Scully's that guy who finds O'Callaghan in those pockets where he sets him up for goals. You'll have Comer and Walsh, then you'll need him influential. And then, like that half forward line of McDade, Tierney, and Maher, like Gleeson is a huge kick out. You would imagine for Croke Park it's meant for a long kick out for those boys in the half forward line. But not many teams have 5 options for kick outs, 5 long options.
Right.
Galway have 2 boys in midfield and they've those 3 boys in the half forward line. And I think McDade will have a big game. He always plays well at Croke Park. He's been come back from a long injury there, finding himself in games he's played so far, get minutes here and there. But I think now he'll really open the legs of Croke Park and be a big game for him to get.
Yeah. Like, as you said, Eoin, everything has to go right for Galway, you'd imagine. Where as Dublin, I don't want to say like I don't think an 80% efficiency will work for them. They definitely want to hit like 90 or so to be, because this is a good Galway team. Cian, where do you think, you know, this game is going to be won and lost? Is it going to be like, you know, like Dublin getting into that threshold period where we said like 60 minutes where they finally pull away from teams, or, you know?
Yeah, I think, like, obviously the 2 boys there, Comer and Walsh, they're going to have a big factor in the game. If they're only at 80%, 90%, I don't think Galway are going to have enough. Again, like Dublin coming down the stretch the last 10 minutes, they tend to just blitz teams. They tend to put in, could score 2-3, 2-4, just to finish the game off and make the scoreline look not like respectable anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So them boys are 100% fit and they can get 70, 75 minutes out of them. There's no reason why Galway shouldn't be there in the finish. But again, they're only going to last 50, 60 minutes. You can see the boys that Dublin bring off the bench, they're going to have a massive impact. And again, I think Dublin might just pull away and finish.
Yeah. Tom, you played in 2018 against the same opposition against Dublin. And I was saying to you before we started out there, you know, you guys were right there after 50, 55 minutes. And it was pretty much as Cian said, like down the stretch, then they just pulled away, you know. But you made quite rightly so, you made the point that you guys could have had an extra goal or 2, especially in the first half. Just a penalty.
Yeah, I suppose probably the difference between then and now is that, like, I'd say as a group, they're probably more athletic. You know, they have backs now that you're like, you know, Johnny McGrath, who is an out and out man marker, Jack Glynn, no slouch either, and they have a lot of lads that are comfortable going man to man, which you need to do a lot against Dublin, like, because there's so much space up there. So, you know, I suppose in 2018, while we improved a huge amount and we became a hard to beat team, that we mightn't have had the dynamism or whatever to be able to go toe to toe with them when the game opened up. So I think Galway are like probably way more suited to be able to beat Dublin now. In favour of Galway, I suppose they've come through Derry. They did very well. I suppose they left it behind them against Armagh, but also, you know, I thought they played well for a lot of parts in that game. And then they came through Monaghan with a kind of a few injuries on board that day. So with that Monaghan game as well, you mentioned Killian. Like Killian had 1 or 2 big carries to finish in that game, where he took his man on and won a free once or twice. So Galway, I suppose, they have it all to do, but they'll be quite confident. If that is the team that starts, that's probably the best team that could match up against Dublin. And then on the other hand, Dublin haven't, I don't know, in terms of competitive games, are they tried and tested? So as Nicky said, the quarterfinal probably is the time to go at Dublin. And who knows, maybe God could catch them on the hop. But like our man Roscommon, I would say it's an exciting game. With all of Dublin's legends and Galway with maybe a point to prove from last year, and a few doubters that are kind of questioning if they can get it done in Croker again. But it should be a great game. Looking forward to it.
It has the makings of a cracker, and that final 15-20 minute period is going to be absolutely crucial. So we'll go the opposite way, Nicky. Obvious. I don't need a crystal ball for your opinion on this one.
I think I'd love to ask the guys one thing, and yourself. What Galway's tactics should be like. They gave away a goal and a point to Gleeson kicking out the short kick out the last time, or against Armagh or something. Gave away a soft goal. Galway haven't conceded a goal all championship besides that goal that the goalkeeper gave away. So I'm just wondering if I think that they're better off, especially they have Maher and all the big guys around centre forward. They should go on with the ball. Not this short kick out doesn't seem to suit Gleeson.
Yeah, well, that was an absolute disaster altogether. And I don't like calling out Conor Gleeson because, he won the Conor title for Galway. He kicked a free under the utmost of pressure, the final kick of the game pretty much against Mayo, put it over the bar, but he got that short kick out wrong. And like you said, Eoin, not too many teams in the modern game have 5 options when you're going long, and Galway have. And
Johnny Heaney there,
Johnny Heaney to come in.
But Heaney's been ever present for Galway. To drop him, you've got I suppose that has to be a reason. It has to be a reason behind it. So to go along, start Maher, start Tierney, start McDavid for the long kickouts, because Heaney's so influential there that I suppose there has to be a reason behind dropping him, and you'd assume that's it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going for Galway.
After all that, Galway. Surprise. Tom.
I know it might be a bit obvious that I would go for Galway as well, but I don't know, I have a bit of a good feeling. As Eoin said, Galway are switchable through 5 or 6, even come out and compete, which will help Conroy and which will help the boys around the middle. It's Sean, obviously Sean wouldn't be the most obvious lad to be competing on kickouts, but with Galway going, probably there'll be no doubt about it, they'll be going route 1 to start, and then if they get a bit of change off that, it'll open up the short stuff. But I think there could be a few goals in Galway after those non-kickouts tomorrow, and hope that'll kickstart them into a win. But I'd be quite confident Galway by 1 or 2.
Yeah, why not? And I want to, before I go on to Eoin again, I want to say the very first man to play football from the parish of Athenry and the town of Athenry, Tom Flynn. So there's a wee bit of history there with this fine footballer. He's out playing football with the Parnells this year, and it's great to have him. Eoin, how do you see it going?
Dublin, just for the reason that Cormac and Walsh aren't fully fit, supposedly. So look, you'd have to say Dublin for that reason or not. Yeah. You need them absolutely 100%. Cian, what do you reckon? Your free drink next hour depends on this answer.
I think similar. I think it'll be a very competitive game. I think Dublin are just going to have too much in the finish, and in the last 10 minutes they can be hard to beat. So I'm just going to go Dublin by maybe 2 or 3.
2 or 3. All right, Micheal.
Yeah, just purely on the fact that Dublin have just been there, done that, and they know how to dig out these games. I don't think it'll be straightforward. I think Galway pose a lot of questions, but I just think coming down to finish Dublin, just have to know how to get over the line.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? When Jim Gavin stepped down, everybody thought Dublin was just going to implode almost. And, well, not implode, but they were just going to, we've enough won. We've been there, done that. And Desi Farrell was taking over, and sort of the general consensus was that Desi's a really nice guy. He was, GPA, he got on well with players, all that sort of stuff. But that's, Dublin is just going to sort of fade into obscurity slowly. But they seem to have got stronger,
hasn't he? As well, to be fair, he hasn't just come in and tried to replicate what Gavin's done. He's brought through his own players. There was kind of question marks at the start when he came in, but in his own right, he'd won a lot before that. He'd been over in the Fianna, who'd gone very close.
The players are serial winners as well.
Yeah.
They just take a step back.
Just know
And he had a lot of them on the under-21s as well when they won it as well, didn't he? So he knew a lot of them.
I have 5 or 6 new players. I'm just looking at the team today. There's a lot of new players on that Dublin team. And a lot of them, the old guys are gone, even though they're relying a bit on them. Ones that's still there. But they have integrated 5 or 6 new players.
Fine footballers, yeah, no doubt. But no doubt that at some point they're going to be beaten, and who knows? It could well be tomorrow evening. Who knows? I want to give a special shout out, seeing as we were just talking about Galway and Roscommon. Nicky's family is watching in at home. Big hello to Bernie, to Tom, Kevin, Katie, Chris, and Fiona, and all the kids. So Nicky did hold a knife to my throat and said, "If you don't mention them, you're going to get it." So anyway, big hello to all the folks in Ballinasloe and Lawrencetown. So on we go, lads. Sunday games, Donegal and Louth. Louth, I suppose, it's great to see a team like Louth in the knockout stages of the All-Ireland Championship. We always seem to get a couple of teams from Division 2 coming in, and like Louth hasn't been in an All-Ireland quarter-final or semi-final for decades and decades and decades. So they're up against Donegal, who themselves looked like a complete wreck 12 months ago, and the Messiah has come back and rejuvenated them, So, Eoin, I'll start with you here. What do you think in this one?
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to fancy Donegal just coming through Ulster, that tough campaign, but I suppose there's still questions to be asked with the Cork game. They looked like a team that you would say would compete with the Dublins, the Kerrys, and then the Cork game was a bit of a stumbling block, and I suppose it was good time for Jim for that to happen because it brought him back down to earth. They still ended up top of the group, got their comfort blanket, got their break, and now they're playing Louth, who are coming with serious momentum, who have beaten Cork, who Donegal lost to. So I think it'll be a tough game, right? But I think Donegal are primed for this. Jimmy has a plan there, he's planning for the All-Ireland, no question. I know he won't say it openly, but no question he's planning for semi-finals and finals, and he won't see his hand fully on Sunday probably because he's hoping to get further down the line. But I think they'll just have too much on Sunday. Yeah.
Tom, it's amazing what a manager can do. You've all first-hand experience of county football, playing under managers and whatever. But like Jim McGuinness, what he has done in 6 months or 7 months since he came back and took over Donegal. Literally last year they were relegated. They looked a shambles, in the championship last year. And the belief that he has instilled back into his players is incredible in a short space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like Donegal, I suppose the whole county is behind at this stage. They're believing again this 2014 all over, 2012. But I suppose, no county goes bad over a couple of months. Like Donegal, I'd say if you were to ask players, there was probably injuries and different reasons for a lack of success and maybe a drop off of form. So them having a full clean bill of health is very important to them. Now, saying that, like Louth have a lot of good match winners as well in Grimes. Cian Burns back there, team name, forward, Ryan Burns. You're Durnan midfield. They have a lot of fine players. All right,
Cian McKeon,
they won't be shy about what they're going to do, and it'll be up to Donegal to break them down. And you saw their form-wise getting that win against Cork at home is huge. So while you had Donegal, our form team, Louth are probably, saying
right there,
easily be there come 50-60 minutes. So I don't think it's as one-sided as maybe people might be saying. Donegal obviously they are the farm team and they have the Jim McGuinness kind of type and that and whatever. But I wouldn't be writing off Louth at all.
Yeah, absolutely not. Micheal, on paper it looks like Donegal are justifiable favourites, but if you're Louth, you're going in there with nothing to lose. And no expectation.
It's been a great year for Louth so far. Like again, Mickey Hart, I suppose, kind of up ship and left kind of a bit unwarranted, but they've really bounced back under Joe Brennan. They've been had some big wins, like that win against Cork was monumental for them to turn over Cork. Like that had come off the back of having a good win against Donegal. That was obviously a massive win for them, and they have good players everywhere. I
actually think there was an advantage that Mickey Hart left them, because I think
Joe
Gerald Brennan is probably one of the top managers in the country.
Yeah, I know he was involved with DCU and stuff in Sigerson, and he's kind of learning his trade a small bit. But he seems to, just the way he speaks and stuff, he seems very astute manager. So, look, on paper, Donegal are the favourites here, and you probably see them getting over the line. Like last year, everyone knew that Donegal had the players. Like you said, they didn't just become a bad team overnight. There was still good players there. They just needed someone to come in and give them that bit of belief. And sure, there's no one better than Cian McKeon to do that. He seems to have the secret touch of whatever it is. Everyone believes that when he comes in, that they can go all the way. Whatever he's telling them, they believe it, and they truly believe it. It's not a fake kind of confidence, and you'll be surprised how far that'll bring you when you truly trust to believe everything a manager's telling you.
Yeah, in a situation like this, Micheal, and I'm sure you were in it more often than not with Kerry. You guys would enter most games as favourites, or probably hot favourites. How do you deal with a team, say Louth here now? They have big belief
you have your
in
own
themselves.
kind of targets. Kind of, I think we used to with Kerry is we used to have targets for every quarter of the game. So we wanted to get so many tackles in each quarter. We wanted to get so many points in each quarter, and we wanted to limit the other team to so many scores per quarter. So them having their own targets for your own team, if you're hitting them targets, inevitably you win the game, and that's kind of how we used to approach it. So like that, we'd focus on hitting them targets in every game, no matter who we were playing. And like I said, inevitably, if you hit your own targets, you'll come out as winners at the end. So that's kind of how we broke it down and focused on it. Right. Regardless of opposition, you kind of have to focus on yourself a small bit.
Right. Cian, you would have played Donegal in the league and stuff like that. They're a team that have sort of been on a roller coaster over the last few seasons, but like we're saying, they're on the way up. What would they like to play against in that sort of league? And I think we played them in a championship game as well, did we, in the recent years? Maybe not, I'm not sure, but definitely in league we played them anyways. Tough team.
Donegal are always a tough team to play against. They always have strong runners. They have decent forwards there, McBurty, Gallen, Langan. They're all big scorers, big physical team as well around the middle. So it's never an easy game. I think the last time we played them last year in the league, now we did run out easy winners, and then, but again, they were on a bit of a lull at that moment in time. But Jesus, the belief that Cian McKeon has brought in again this year,
it's unbelievable.
Completely revitalised again.
Yeah.
And then on Louth, another aspect, I think Gerard Brennan has just come in, seeing what they've been good at over the last few years, and not really tried to change much. Only just put his own small spin on things and focus on what they're really good at. And it seems to be working wonders for them. I don't think, as the boys were saying, I don't think it's going to be that one-sided. I think Louth are going to really put a test to Donegal and really challenge them. And I think Donegal maybe might see out the game, but I think it'll be very close. Yeah.
So we'll spin through you quickly again. Micheal, Donegal or Louth?
Yeah, Donegal. Yeah, I can't see anything other than a Donegal win here. Like Cian said, it could be tight, but I think it's just more options up front to get scores when they're needed. And I think Donegal in this one.
Cian?
Yeah, I'm going to say very tight game, but I think Donegal will edge it out in the end.
Owen?
Similar to what Burnsy was saying, I think Donegal had big kickers there. Thompson, McBurty, Gallen, Suits, Croke Park. So I think Donegal by 5 or 6 points.
Tom?
Yeah, same. Donegal by 4 or 5. Like that, very, very strong on the middle. And if they get a press or a run on Louth at any stage, I think they can blow them away a small bit. But if Louth keep it tight, who knows? But Donegal by 4 or 5.
Nicky?
Gosh, I might as well go against the game.
Your favourite counter. I love them.
Jimmy's winning matches. Hopefully, but I don't know. Maybe Louth. I don't know. It's going to be a very defensive game, but there's a lot of play left behind the ball as well.
Yeah, they made it difficult for Dublin, in the Leinster final for a long time, and they actually finished that game fairly strongly. They scored a goal in the last couple of minutes, and So, they'll take a lot of confidence from that
I think
too.
one or two players have left. We won't mention any names. I think one or two players left the panel. So I'll give them a shout, but probably doing well.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, I think, in the finish up. I think as much as Louth will push them, I think it's going to be a tough last 5 or 10 minutes for them. But we'll see. You never know. And on to the final pièce de résistance, as they say, Micheal, Kerry and Derry. Not much between you, just 2 letters.
Look,
This is a mouth-watering one. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to it. You beat them. Was it last year? Semi-final last year. So
I suppose there's kind of question marks over both teams, but to be honest, I think Kerry are coming into this game in a great place. They're slightly under the radar. I think in certain sectors they've been kind of written off that they're not putting in performances, but I think like that. I think they're timing their run very well. I think they're getting ready to explode hopefully in Croke Park. They've got a lot of fellas back from injuries. Brian Begley in the back line, I think he's kicked something like, I think he has 3 points from play in the last 2 games and maybe another one game previously to that. So he's a massive asset to have back. He's kind of struggled with injuries the last 2 years, but like being in training with him in my opinion, one of the best backs in the country when he's fit and 100% and ready to go. Alongside that, you've Tom Sullivan as well. Again, nearly gets 3 points per game.
Yeah.
An absolute nightmare to mark if you're forward.
yeah,
Will completely shut you down, then go up and kick 3 points. With the hands in the head, you're looking at the sideline, thinking I'm going to be whipped off here.
Yeah.
So he's and then look again, of course, up front they just have some serious talent like Tony Brosnan from my own club and Dr. Crokes. He's flying it. He's chipping in with his few points, and I think Kerry have a massive range of scorers this year, which is really going to come benefit them when it comes down to the tighter games and the real tests. If people can chip in with scores from all over the pitch, you're just tagging on them scores. Whereas I suppose in the last few years, Cliffords and Shawnee Shea have done a lot of the damage. Other fellas are starting to come good. Darmine and then workhorse around the middle, and again sets up a lot of scores and kind of becomes a very good provider. Himself and David Clifford played together underage, like up through the schools. They'd have a serious understanding of where they're running, and Cliffy knows where Dara wants to kick him the ball, and he'll move there when he gets it. And that understanding is very important. But then Derry, I suppose, like Derry lost 3 games and they're still there, and there has to be a bit of they came out against Mayo, and Mayo had a great result, should have beaten Dublin, and people were kind of writing off Derry and they had a sting in the tail. I'm sure Mickey Hart, he's a lot of history with Kerry, that he's going to be really, really, really gunning for this one. He'll have him right up for it. A lot of talk about strife in their camp and stuff, but they're there now. They're in the quarter-final, and they nearly caught us out last year, and who's to say they don't have a big performance in them. They have quality players all over the pitch. Conor Glass, Shane McGuigan, who hasn't caught fire yet, but I think like you were talking about earlier, going into Croke Park, he's a kind of player who could just absolutely burn it up when it comes to Croke Park. Get a bit more space, can kick off both feet. Like if he can put in a big shift, and other fellas can tip in with a few scores as well, they'll be right there. They can cut you open for goals as well. Like in the semi-final last year, they came down the middle of our defence, and they're very dynamic in their play. They run from everywhere. They create overlaps, and if a few of them goals, Shane Ryan, he had a monster game in that semi-final last year. I'd say point blank stopped 2 or 3 goals. If they had gone in, we were probably done for. So they're the 5 margins that are in it. But no, like that, I think Kerry are in a great spot. I think they're primed. I think they were targeting. They knew that it was like when they seen the group that they got. I suppose no disrespect to any of them teams, but they more or less knew they were going to get through that group. They're hitting Croke Park now, and hopefully there's a massive performance in them at the weekend. Yeah,
that's what you'd be certainly hoping from the Kerry point of view. When as quite a few commentators said, sure, look at, I mean, Kerry can only play with what's in front of them, and you just you can't please everybody, I suppose. Tom, one thing I found amazing about Mickey Hart's decision earlier on after the All-Ireland club final was that he decided, well, I don't know whether he decided, but ultimately he should have decided, because he's the coach, the manager, that all of the players that took part in the club final continued on and they played all the way through the league. And like that's a very difficult thing to do, isn't it? As a county player, you know, to play those league games and into the championship then.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Obviously, classes, the Glen lads, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very difficult. So yeah, they obviously have a lot of mileage in the legs, but just I suppose it's a crazy game to look at because you have such firepower on Kerry's behalf in the forwards. But then you have also so much, you know, attacking prowess out of the Derry backs and McCluskey. Just looking through the backs there, like McAvoy was actually missing against Galway. He's a huge one. And then you have like McKinless, obviously, you know, he'll have a point to prove as well with the lack of discipline against Galway to get up to Croker and give a good account for himself. So like while you have all of the forward, I suppose, threat of Kerry, I suppose maybe those lads might have to expect that they're going to be defending a bit the next day. I suppose dealing with Kerry, I would imagine putting them on the back foot, those like Clifford and even Tony Brosnan, to try and pin them back as much as possible would be probably Derry's main tactic. But yeah, no, Kerry obviously they match up pretty well in terms of picking up Derry's forwards. Like Foley will, like there's probably not many better man markers in the country with that level of speed to deal with McGuigan. And he'll obviously be hoping to nullify his threat and keep him quiet for another game. But yeah, no, I think those Derry lads, once they're able to stay fit and healthy, I don't see any issues with going through those league games. They want to obviously represent their county and play under Mickey Hart, so I don't see it as being a major issue. And obviously to take Kerry to Croke Park is enough motivation to forget any bit of fatigue that's in the legs.
Yeah. Cian, as a county footballer, as ye all are, you know, a team like Derry who have, you know, they've promised so much over the last, and they're a fantastic team, there's no doubt about it, but they've promised a lot over the last couple of seasons. You know, do you think that these lads will be feeling huge pressure, you know, going into a game like this against a really top team like Kerry, you know, feeling like, you know, we need to deliver, you know?
I think Derry, like if you were to ask anyone at the start of the year, especially after the league, they had, like, are they All-Ireland contenders? Everyone would have said, of course, they are, yeah, probably be number one or number two. So they haven't become a bad team overnight. Now, if you were looking at it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, you'd say Kerry every day of the week because they weren't performing well. But momentum's a big thing again. Spoke about Roscommon. If you were to look back at them 3 or 4 weeks ago, you'd say, you know, Armagh probably would handle them. But now, after Derry's big win, Roscommon big win, like, they're right there. They're right there. And, like, Derry have every chance in this game. I'd still say Kerry probably holds a small bit over them, but Derry are right there and probably be one of the games of the weekend, I'd say this one.
Yeah. Nicky, what do you reckon?
I think Kerry, the two Cliffords haven't really turned it on yet, so come to Croke Park, I think Paulie and definitely a brother. Is that what I mean?
David. You owe David Clifford at least a bucket. David Clifford, you're getting a bucket here in Lanigan.
If Clifford's turning it on, I think they're not too much for Derry. I think Derry are too. As I said, there was 5 or 6 of them on that club team, and they've been playing all year, and then they had a few draws, extra time and penalties. I think they might be burdened out and they're lacking a bit of confidence.
But that's highlighted, like, I know about the event players, but like the year you won that Ireland, sure, there was 2 guys who played with this, they played a singles match that day and then played the World Cup with Kerry that evening. And you know that when Kerry won that Ireland, it's all forgotten about.
Yeah.
So,
They're used to winning that Ireland.
I know that too, but like these things are highlighted when you're losing, like, but like
Yeah.
Derry managed to beat Kerry the weekend, who'll be talking about all these.
Oh, not a one.
And like
Not a one.
Glenn went to an All-Ireland final the year previously as well.
Yeah.
And like there was nothing said about it then when they were playing well last year. Like,
No,
you know, so it's
Right.
highlighted,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. Yeah. So it's a lot of it is in the head.
Great
Um,
game. So.
Owen, you've played against Kerry in Munster Championships. You've been there, you've seen them up close. You know, how do you rate this game? How do you rate Kerry? How do you rate Derry?
After looking, Kerry get to Croke Park, they're just a different animal, in fairness. Like, I'd say, from playing, it seems like Fitzgerald Stadium is the same dimensions as Croke Park. It just suits them. Like, it's made for footballers. It's a wide open field. You know, I suppose the way the forwards move the ball, the way the movement is inside. Like, they always have 3 guys inside, and they seem to just be so interlinked in their movement. There's no other team really that plays like that. I still think you're right that they'll need more scores off the bench. You know, like I suppose for the last 2 years they've been Burnsy, Spillane, O'Brien and Darren Moynihan, and I suppose Moynihan and Spillane, so they do a lot of the leg work, and then you Burnsy and O'Brien then to come on and do the scores. So like Killian Spillane is guaranteed 1 or 2 points every time he goes on, but they probably don't have that now that Michal's out here, and they haven't replaced it yet or found anyone yet. And I know they haven't played anyone in the championship probably to see have they anyone at that level yet, but Dublin have Paul Mannion, Ross McGarry's after coming through this year. You know, the top teams have these boys who will get you 2 or 3 points off the bench. And if they are to win that Ireland, that's what they need. I do think they'll win on Sunday, but they'll need to find someone off the bench to chip in with the scores. Killian Spillane will chip in, because in fairness, Moynihan does get through a bank of work.
For sure, absolutely. Your cousin.
He is my first cousin. Yeah.
Nicky, prediction, real quick.
Oh, sure, I'll have to go for Kerry since he's over there.
Old green and gold.
It depends on how Kerry turn up. You never know with Kerry, because this might have brought them on a lot in their own game, but I still think the experience of Kerry and Croke are
tough to beat.
Will definitely win them over the line.
Tom.
Yeah, I just think Kerry have too much firepower, and they're so good in Croke Park. So I'd say Kerry by 5.
Yeah, bold prediction there. Owen.
Bold prediction. I agree with everything Tom says. I won't commit to 5. That's exactly what he says. Kerry win and everything else. He's right. The firepower to have.
Yep. Cian.
After listening to Burns the last 2 weeks now,
You can't say anything else.
Kerry are going to come good, so I can go Kerry as well.
Very good. And Micheal.
Yeah, Kerry.
No surprise there. Yeah, you just had to say one word. That was it. Yeah, I'm looking at the scoring difference there. Kerry plus 49, Derry minus 18. But you know that doesn't count for a lot. Stats are stats, and you can make those seem whatever you want.
What do you think yourself? You haven't given a prediction yet.
I actually think Kerry. I think Derry will eventually suffer with fatigue. I think the game against Mayo was a tough game, physically tough, up and down the field, running hard. Mayo are a tough team to beat, and they're a tough team to get on top of. You have to be physically, really able, and you have to put the shift in to beat a team like Mayo. So I think that's a tough ask to turn a 6-day turnaround and come back and play, a big team like Kerry. I think that's tough. No matter how good you are, it's a big ask. So I think Kerry will win it. Is it going to be by 5? I'd nearly go to Paddy Power. Tom, myself and yourself will have to go down to Paddy Power and have a bet on that one. But I think Kerry, I think, and I agree with most of your predictions. I think Donegal, Dublin and Galway, I think there's only going to be a kick of a ball in that game, to be honest with you. And then similarly with Armagh and Roscommon, I think it's going to come down to a couple of scores. I wouldn't be surprised if that one goes to extra time either. I think that could go to extra time. So tight games, I think.
You never gave your prediction.
Roscommon. For the record, the Rossies. I know we have only a few minutes left. We have 5 minutes left. Boys, I have 2 topics to cover. First of all, we lost a massive icon of Irish sport and sports commentary in last Tuesday, unfortunately. Micheal Burns from Dingle. Micheal, he was an icon, is the best way I can describe him. We use this word legend and stuff like that, but to me, he was iconic. I remember him. I'm 52 years old. I have memories of Micheal Burns for 40 years ago. I mean, he was incredible.
Yeah, I suppose he's the voice of GA, really. When you think of commentary in the GA and just just personality-wise, just an icon of the GA, like you said.
Did you ever have the pleasure of meeting him?
I did. He was actually in the dressing room 2 years ago. We won the All-Ireland. He came into the dressing room. Now he was starting to slow down a small bit at that stage. So he wasn't I'd met him previously a few years before that, and he still had but he was obviously, I suppose, getting old at that stage, but it was great to see him. It was a great memory to see him coming in and lifting up the Sam Maguire. So
yeah,
that'd be kind of my abiding memory of him. But like you said, just absolute icon.
Yeah.
Absolute gentleman and the voice of GA, really, wasn't he? Like, just when you thought of commentary and all these iconic moments that he commentated for, really just an absolute legend.
Yeah, for sure. Cian, I'm not sure what your memories of him were. My abiding memory of him was the day that Joe Rabbit and Pat Fox was playing in an All-Ireland semi-final, Tipperary and Galway. And he says, for the first time, he says, I have ever seen a rabbit chasing a fox around Croke Park. I mean, he was just incredible to come out with statements like that.
Exactly, yeah, an absolutely iconic figure in the GA. Obviously, from looking back at old clips and listening to old commentary, like, yeah, exactly, he's the number one voice you think of. An absolute legend in the game. And yeah, he'll be sadly missed.
He sure will. Owen, from a Munster man's point of view, same sentiments, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I was even reading Michael Murphy's piece during the week. I think he was saying that he went with his father to meet when he was 5 or 6. And he said, Dad, will you bring me to Croke Park? Because he thought it was closer than it was. They brought him to Croke Park and Micheal Burns, and yeah, I think it was closed at the time. But he asked him all about Donegal in 1992 and then brought him in for a tour to Croke Park. So like, that's a small story that shows the class of him, and that he just met this young buck and give him a tour of Croke Park.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Incredible.
GA, man.
Yeah, incredible GA man for sure. Tom, a wonderful figure.
Yeah, like he probably, I suppose, embodies everything that's good about Irish culture. You know, like a Gaeilgeoir, a big tea drinker.
Yeah.
As Nicky is. And you know, just a very gentle personality, but also being able to nail those iconic moments of commentary that last long in everyone's memories.
Yeah.
While they mightn't be at the you know, you mightn't recall them the second you hear them, you know, like the Colin Corcoran one with Lazarus, or the Joe Rabbit and Pat Fox one. There could be a list of my long.
Yeah.
Sean O'Reilly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, an incredible figure. Probably not too many people in Ireland held in as high regard as Micheal Burns. You know, in my memory, anyways. Yeah, and he'd be sadly missed.
Absolutely. Nicky, you had the pleasure of meeting him on 3 or 4 occasions?
I met him a few times, yeah. Absolute gentleman. I met him at Shelburne Park one time. I asked him, Nick Lawson, I asked him, he says, oh, I saw you having a drink. He says, Nick Lawson, I'm a shock snooze. Never drank, pioneer all his life. There was one great one in 1992. I was listening to it on the radio. And Clare were playing in the All-Ireland semi-final. So Micheal was commentating, and he says, I was down in Clare during the week, he says, and I stopped. I seen the farmer on the side of the road walking the cows. He says, I stopped to get into the car, went into the local town where the Clare team was playing. I dropped them off next morning, and the cows were grazing on the side of the road.
Still grazing.
Grazing, yes. No, he was an absolute.
Oh, yeah. For a man that never drank, I mean, his stories were, and his ability to stay in a pub or to stay, but he loved people, I'd say. You know, he just loved to be around people, and he just, that was his big thing. I mean, he was a socialite, and you know, he just loved the crack and the stories, and you know, that's where his life's blood was. You know, he was a bit like John B. in a lot of ways. You know, John B. was the same. Somebody said to him out in New York one time, where do you get all the material for your novels and for your books, John B? And he says, I just walk out the door in the stall out of my pub every day, and I walk down the street, and he says, it's all there in front of me. You know, and it was the same with Micheal. You know, he was just one of those characters. We don't have a lot of time left, Mary. We have 2 minutes left, folks. I want to just say on my own behalf, I actually never met Micheal Burns, but I want to pay him a very small tribute. And, you know, as I said, an icon as far as I was concerned within the GAA and also within GAA commentary and stuff like that. And what he has done for GAA across the globe, like, I mean, he travelled with All-Star teams all over the place. And, I mean, he done more for GAA probably internationally than any other person ever did. And his gentle, kind, soft words, I mean, it was like being hypnotized. And I mean, listening to him on many of the documentaries and many of the reports that RTE and other stations have broadcast, I mean, you could sit listening to this guy for hours and hours and hours and hours. I mean, he was hypnotic. It was the way I could describe him. And, you know, Ariashte Gorevan on him, and may he rest in peace. He was a fantastic fella, and he'll never be forgotten as far as I'm concerned anyway, that's for sure. So Micheal Burns, you know, may you rest in peace. What a great guy. We'll just give a quick mention to the Chicago. All the boys here, of course, are involved in Chicago football. The Tones are I have a picture of. This is. We went to look at a job today, folks, for a certain lady up the north side, and I brought the 2 boys with me. And I have the plan of her kitchen here. Anyway, that's to be determined. She's going to come to Gaelic Park, I believe. Anyway, so Burns asked her
again.
what she was doing tonight. But as the mouse says to the trap, we won't get into that. So the Tones are on top of the table with 2 wins and 1 loss. Parnell's 1 win, 1 loss. Pierce's 1 win, 2 losses. McBride's 1 win, 1 loss. So the McBrides and the Parnells are out this week, Tom. You're playing your 3rd game. Big game for you. Hopefully looking forward to a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose both teams needing to win to get level with Tones on top. But no, it should be a good game. Yeah, I suppose everyone's well adjusted now to the 13-a-side, and I won't say it's the heat yet, but we're getting there. But looking forward to it. It'll be a good competitive game, and I'm sure it'll be.
How did you find that adjustment, real quick, just between 15 and 13?
15 and 13. It's been tough, to be honest. It does take a bit of getting used to, and it's so wide open, which is great. There's so many different patches of play that open up, and it's so attacking and goal chances everywhere. Which is probably, it's maybe what football used to be like back in the day. But it does take a bit of getting used to. It's tired on the legs, right? But it's very enjoyable. Yeah.
Very good. 3 Tones boys beside me, of course. The only thing you have to look forward to this weekend is a training session tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
How are you finding it so far, real quick?
Loving it. It's great. Like that 13-a-side, and it's really enjoyable style of football. But even just becoming friends with all the lads is kind of what it's all about. You come out here meeting new people, the likes of yourself and Nicky over playing a bit of golf and doing a bit of sandbagging on Nicky. Unhappy.
Oh yeah, not happy at all.
Loving life. You come over here, you have the sunshine, you have a bit of crack, you win the game on a Sunday. It's like winning a championship back home. It's 2 days on the beer.
work on the tens, isn't it?
Work on the 10. Needs a touch up, Nicky.
Cian, I know Kieran and Mairead will be watching in. Big hello to mom and dad at home. How are you enjoying it?
Oh, loving it as well. Yeah, exactly. 13-a-side it's all action. It's exactly.
He's going on a date with Cindy as well.
That's right. Yeah, big shout out to Cindy, our beer lady from a week ago. She was following us around the golf course there. I asked her how did she spell her name. Sindy. Yeah. So hopefully now Cindy and yourself will strike it off as background.
Enjoying the football out here. Yeah. It's a forward string.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. Well, you done well last Sunday, that's for sure. Owen, real quick, big shout out to your uncle Dermot Coughlin, and Josie Mack, Mary Mack, her mom, and all the McNamara's back there in Coraclair and your own family. How are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, same as I'm loving it. And I suppose I met my uncle 25 years, so it was great to meet up with him again and spend a bit of time with him and play a bit of football and get friendly with the lads.
Yeah.
Lads from our own club and other clubs, and it's great old crack, so I'm enjoying it so far.
One thing I have to say is that, the group of lads from all over the teams this year, like the Parnells, the McBrides, the Tones, and the Pierces are on the north side, they come down. I have to say they're a great bunch of fellas. And everybody seems to, mingle really well. Like Sunday evenings or last Saturday evening, because we had the games on Saturday last week. Everybody just mingled so well together, and it's a great atmosphere after games, which is unusual, for sure. All pointing towards a really great summer remaining for the Chicago Championship. And as I said, the McBrides and the Parnells are playing on Sunday evening. We've won senior game this weekend. So tune in at 5:30, 11:30 at home, and enjoy the action and enjoy the fun. We're certainly going to enjoy tomorrow, the games from Croke Park tomorrow and Sunday, and Gaelic Park then on Sunday evening. So join us, folks, on Sunday evening, and hopefully enjoy this podcast with our very illustrious guests. Thanks to Nicky, thanks to Tom, thanks to Eoin, thanks to Cian, and thanks to the boy from Crokes, Micheal. A great bunch of fellas, and we're going out next door now. Nicky's going to treat us to free drinks. Folks, thanks very much. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, Quinn.
All right, boys. Fair play.